Hey everybody, I'm getting ready to meal prep for the week and I kind of got everything sort of set up and ready to roll. I've actually already started my salmon. So I do not currently have a kitchen because my kitchen is under construction. And so I am at a friend's house using their kitchen, and I'm so thankful for the opportunity to be able to do that. What I'm doing is I actually currently pay someone to do my meal prep for the week because of the fact that I do not have a kitchen, but really long term, it's just the best option for me because I would prefer to spend my time working than meal prepping. I absolutely love cooking and I definitely like doing cooking videos so where I can teach, but if I want to spend time in the kitchen, I do prefer to make it time spent educating people on how to cook better. So I have been paying someone to do my meal prep for that reason, but that person that I pay is under the weather, so I cleared my day today so that I could do all my meal prep. This would be that perfect time where someone could say, my person that does this is sick and I don't have the time and I can't get to it, I can't get it done. But at the end of the day, I had to just sit, stop what I was doing, start thinking, where could I go? What kitchen could I be in? How am I going to get the groceries, even though I still have to work full days? Am I going to have them delivered? What do I need to do to be able to get the groceries to my house? And then, since I was going to someone else's house, I had to think through all of the things that I needed to bring with me. You know, my pans, and then the big pans, and then the parchment sheets, and the olive oil, and the paper towels, and the knives, and all the different things. So I had to think through everything that kind of had to be, part of that. So I've got everything pretty well organized. I kind of saved the salmon to show you. I usually just get fresh salmon from the seafood section at Whole Foods. I get the wild caught salmon. But because of the snow, I couldn't get to Whole Foods, and I had these prepackaged wild-caught sockeye salmon fillets from Whole Foods. So I had 2 packages of these. So I just went ahead and took out each individual piece of salmon, and they were frozen, and I actually kept them frozen because I find that you can get the skin off of it so much easier if it's frozen. Now this one has thawed, but I just sort of left it out to show you. And so what I normally do when it's frozen is I just kind of go along the edge of it and just remove that skin. It's a little bit harder when it's not frozen, so I would highly recommend doing it frozen because I just got through all of those with no issues. So I just let this one sit here and thaw because I thought I would try to show you guys so that you could see kind of what I have. I'm able to kind of pull this so this isn't as bad. And then what I did was I took each of those and I ran them, because they were frozen, I ran them under hot water just to get them thawed out a little bit. And then I took the salmon into my skillet and I just broke it apart by hand, so it's just in little bitty pieces. And then I put the olive oil at the bottom of the skillet really good. And so what you see on this side is one that's been cooking for a while. So I have this one over here cooking in oil, and it looked just like that. And as soon as it starts to kind of all come together on the bottom, almost like a salmon pancake, then I just start moving it through my skillet. This is a non-toxic always pan from our place. I attached the link, and I think it's cool because they come with these little awesome little scrapers. They scrape the bottom of the pan beautifully, so you get all those brown bits. I love making my salmon this way. I used to bake it, and I made mustard sauce for it, and I would do all sorts of different things, but this ultimately is my favorite way. And so what I try to do is just kind of put it into as many little pieces as I possibly can. And then I use my olive oil on occasion, remembering to not go over medium heat because you're using the olive oil. You can certainly use avocado oil, but I really like the taste of the olive oil, so that's why I personally stick with olive oil. I like the taste of it, plus olive oil is great for you. So I have that on low heat right now. I've put this on just under medium heat, and so this is just now getting started. So now I have all of my vegetables set up over here, and I got into a prepped point to where you could kind of get a gauge of what I'm looking at. I'm going to double these up in the oven. So I have just regular old-fashioned carrot sticks, and that's what I have in this dish. So what I'm going to do with these is I'm just going to throw olive oil on each of these sheet cake pans. So put these this way. Okay, so I marry it together with the olive oil pretty good. I don't want it to be doused in it because I don't want them to get soggy. And this is my asparagus that I buy from the smokehouse. And I don't know if you can tell, but I cut it into all these little pieces. And I like to do that because it roasts up really good, but I also like to do that because it's a lot easier for me to eat when I'm on the go at work and I'm in between clients and I just need to get my food in. I can eat that a whole lot faster than big pieces of asparagus. So that really makes a difference for me. Now with the carrots, I'm going to actually spray them because I like the carrots to end up kind of crunchy, you know, and so I move them around in that. And then usually about 20 minutes in, I pull them out of the oven and I spray them some more. And then I throw them back in the oven. The thing with the carrots is I really like them to be evenly spread out on the pan, not really on top of each other. They bake so much better and they taste so much crispier. And just, I don't know, they just have a different texture and a different taste if you do them like that. So I always take the time to make sure that they're spread or have their own pan. This is just a sheet cake pan. So I'm going to throw these in the oven. And she has a convection oven here, so I'm going to be able to put both of these pans in at one time. Not that I couldn't if it wasn't convection, it would just take a little bit longer to cook, but I'm super thankful that it is convection. And then I got my green beans, and this is 12 bags of frozen green beans. So I went ahead and thawed these last night, so they were just ready to go. And then I've spread them in this pan 6 and 6. A lot of this oil is going to just evaporate right off of these beans. And a lot of times I have to go back in and I have to add more oil so they don't get super dried out. This is the olive oil that I use. I pick it up at Whole Foods or I pick it up at Deerberg's. Then I even really take the time to go through these and just really make sure that the oil is married on here. I have my parchment sheet underneath here just so that I'm not like scrubbing this pan at the end of the deal, which is very common to have to do. And I get these spread out really good. I can hear this salmon sizzling pretty good. Now what I'm doing over here is this is on super low heat now. It's like barely even on heat. And let me get these in the oven and I'll show you why. But these green beans, I literally like to let cook for about an hour. So I really take the time to let them cook long like that because it really makes a difference. They end up tasting delicious. So the sooner you can get them in the oven, the better, because then they're going to be done. But the longer you can cook them, the better, because they really taste buttered. Okay, I'm switching ovens. I'm gonna add someone else's house, so I'm not quite sure how to set the ovens up, but I need a thinner pan. Okay, now the other thing that you can't see is that I've made broccoli slaw. So I've got my big soup pan and I've made 5 bags of organic broccoli slaw that I had delivered from Fresh Time. And you can get it at Deerberg's, or you can get it at Fresh Time, or you can get it at Whole Foods. Of course, Deerberg's is local to St. Louis. Now what I've done is I've really scraped the brown bits off the bottom here, and this thing was full. Okay, and so then what I did was I just put the lid on and I just let this really cook down, kind of like cabbage, like I was making cooked cabbage. And I just let this really get cooked down, almost like steamed down really good. And then I just would go in and I'd just scrape out the bottom. Just keep scraping the bottom, and then keeping it from sticking. And now it's just like this awesome, yummy consistency. This is one of my favorite things to eat. This is broccoli slaw. It's really good. So that's finished. So I've got all of my Pyrex dishes in a cooler that I had to bring. So I had to bring 40 Pyrex dishes, and I'll have to get all of my, everything kind of separated and divided out. And so this salmon is done. So I can turn that heat off. And then I kind of let it just sit on the no heat, like as it's losing its heat. Kind of let it just sit there for a little while, because I want to just get a little bit of crispiness to it. I like some of the crunchy bites. So I'll let it, I got it, down to where it's, in little bitty pieces, which makes it so tasty. I personally just put sea salt on here, but that's just because I'm kind of allergic to everything known to man. But I have a mustard sauce that would be delicious on here. I just use Dijon mustard from Whole Foods. It doesn't have anything bad in it. And we can post that recipe to that mustard sauce. No problem at all. That's a great recipe. We posted it a couple weeks ago, so it's out there. But that's a great thing to mix on top of this. But just so you guys can see this, this is another tool I found on the Magnolia website. This thing's awesome. I love this thing. Just kind of show this to you. But that's what the salmon looks like. Yum! And then so I'll get this one cooking down. So I'll have my salmon, asparagus, green beans, and my broccoli slaw. And I'm going to be letting this stuff cook for the next hour, and then I'll package it all up, and then I'll be going home in about an hour and a half to 2 hours. So all in all, the prep will have been about 3 hours for an entire week's worth of food. Now, while it's sitting there cooking, I'm going to be sitting here answering messages and doing things like that. So there is part of it that's downtime that I can be doing other things, but that's about the amount of time that it's taking. Now, I will say it's taking me a little bit longer just because I'm not in my own home, and I had to bring everything to be able to be here. So packing it in the car, and then, getting Finn, who is dead asleep over there on the floor, and then, just getting myself acquainted with someone else's kitchen is definitely taking longer, but it's not an excuse to not have healthy food this week. I don't feel good if I don't eat my food right. So I have to make preparing my food a priority. I don't care what the situation is. I've had sick family members. I've had all sorts of situations in the past 2 weeks, and I've just found a way to eat my food because I personally am doing everything I can to fight against getting sick. And if I start pulling different foods in, and if I start not paying attention to my diet, I start pulling in inflammatory foods or high histamine producing foods, then I'm definitely going to put myself in line to get sick. It's not to say that you can't still get sick if you eat clean, because you can, obviously. Plenty of people are. But really try to guard yourself and make really clean choices right now, guys, because we all really need to be as safe and as healthy as possible. I hope this helps to give you guys some ideas. God bless you all. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Have a strong week.